Hey, Verl Workman here, Big V. Today we're talking teams, and I want to talk about how to write a business plan that is not only good, but great. And I'm not only going to give you the how to write the business plan, I'm going to give you our actual Workman Success business plan and access to the training videos to take you through an entire program on how to ramp your business to the next level of success. So stay tuned. This is going to be a fun video with lots of information and lots of strategy on how to create an effective business plan for your real estate business. Are you ready? Let's go. So let's begin by talking about what we go through in building a plan. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to think about where it is you want to go. What are the big, hairy goals? What's your strategy? What's your strategic plan of where you'd like to be 5 years from now, 3 years from now, 1 year from now, and 6 months from now? In that strategic plan, I want you to define your life, not your business. You see, a lot of people really mess up with this because they think building a business plan is all about creating the business. It's not. It's about creating a lifestyle and then building a business that supports the lifestyle. You see, if I help you create a business that becomes your lifestyle as your coach, I failed you and I'm sorry. So let's start with, what do you want your life to look like? You have to first identify and find your big why. The second thing I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to go through and do what's called a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis simply does, and it outlines your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and threats. But I want you to look at it differently than you've ever looked at it before. On the strength side of things, I'm going to ask you, the business plan, there's several copies of the SWOT analysis. I'm going to ask you to not only do a SWOT analysis on yourself, but I'm going to ask you to get 4 or 5 other people who you trust and respect that know you well to then identify what they see as your strengths, what they see as your weaknesses, what they see as your opportunities, and what they see as your threats. What I've learned is you have a perspective that may be different than others. When I'm talking and teaching this in a live course, I'll oftentimes say, okay, so what are your strengths? What would your current spouse say are your strengths? And what would your client say are your strengths? I would say attention to detail, good with people. I've got a great database. I have financial resources. I have experience and expertise in real estate investing. I have a degree in real estate or a contractor's license. There's strengths that you have that give you an unfair competitive advantage. What do you have that makes it not fair when you're competing for the business? That's how you fill out your strengths. On the weaknesses side, I want you to really think about weaknesses. The weaknesses are, what would your ex-spouse say are your weaknesses? Oh, that's a good way to do it. Or your ex-executive assistant or your client care coordinator. I'm pretty honest about my weaknesses. Mine is attention to detail. I don't like the accounting side of the business. I don't like the things that require a high level of detail. I want things done. I don't want to know how they were done. Other weaknesses might be a fear of prospecting, afraid of rejection, don't know what to say, don't like the idea of asking people for their business. There's lots of things that we have as weaknesses, and it's okay to uncover what they are. Once you've established your strengths and you establish your weaknesses, above the SWOT analysis, I want you to write the word internal. So above strengths, write the word internal. These are things that are internal to you. Now we're going to talk about opportunities. Opportunities are fun because this is where you really get a brainstorm. What are the opportunities you can see in the real estate business today that are ways you could earn income that you're currently not taking advantage of? I love asking people who are my mentors that are outside the industry what opportunities they see because their perspective is so different. Opportunities might be new construction, for sale by owners, expired listings, notices of default. It could be open houses. It could be geographic farming. It could be buying leads online. It could be Zillow or Zillow Flex. It could be utilizing my sync or following up with dead leads. It could be buying other people's businesses as they're exiting real estate. There are a limitless number of opportunities that are out there. The idea with opportunities is not to just pick the ones you're going to do, but list all of them and create this massive list of opportunities. And then last, I'm going to ask you, after you've identified all these opportunities, is to look at your threats. What are the things that will keep you from hitting your goals? Threats are things you can't control, but absolutely you need to be aware of because they adjust how you message to your market. Rising interest rates, inflation, the commission, class action lawsuit, lack of inventory in your marketplace. Threats could be, wars that are happening around the world, the instability in the global markets, the inability for, I look in places like in Canada where they no longer allow people to purchase homes if they're not legal citizens of Canada. So that could be a threat for people that have historically sold to people from other countries. So I look at all the threats and I say, okay, so now how do I make those advantages? Now I've done this whole thing with strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. How do you put it all together? The first thing I want you to do is I want you to look at the opportunities and I want you to ask this question. question: how do I take my strengths, the things that I'm really good at, to take advantage of the opportunities I see in the marketplace? I want you to focus on what you naturally love to do and do well, and apply it to the opportunities that you see. If your strength is a great marketer and you see opportunities in digital media, then let's go for it. If your strength is you have a good construction background, then maybe you should go after listing more small builders. If you have strength in building relationships, it's joining networking groups and finding opportunities there. So how do you apply your strengths to capitalize on the opportunities that exist? Now let's talk about weaknesses. What should we do with your weaknesses? Matter of fact, I think it'd be kind of fun. Why don't we take a second right now, and I want everybody to go in the chat box, and I want you to type in what you think we should do with your weaknesses. Should we focus on them? Should we take training? Should we make them strengths? Should we set goals? Or should we delegate them? That's my choice. You already suck at it, so why focus on it? How about just let it go? How about you take your weaknesses and you find somebody else who has strengths in those areas and let them do those tasks? It's okay to let it go. Like, I really mean that. Let's not focus on your weakness. Let's be aware of it. It's okay to be self-aware and then just delegate it and let it go. Find someone else who's great in those things and let them have and apply their strengths to areas where you have weaknesses. And then, of course, the threats. I want you to create messaging to the marketplace, and you can apply it. You can look at the other videos we've talked about that, how to use threat-based marketing to convince consumers to get out of being paralyzed and into action. The SWOT analysis is a critical part of building your business plan because it creates the foundation of how you're going to go forward in everything you do. The next thing I want you to do is I want you to create what we call are the 4 pillars of income. When we talk about building an effective business plan for your real estate business, everybody talks about, creating 4 pillars of income or creating multiple pillars. They talk about a 3-legged stool. I've heard it described different ways, but nobody describes it the way I'm going to describe it to you right now. It's going to be different. So I want you to listen carefully. With each pillar of income, let's just say that you want to sell 20 houses this year. If your goal is to hit 20 houses this year, I want you to establish and develop 4 pillars of income, and each pillar has to be able to have an action plan that will deliver 100% of your income goal. So you have to get 20 house sales through open houses, 20 house sales through digital marketing, 20 house sales for the work in your sphere of influence or through working in your top 50, and 20 house sales through working with new construction. I don't care what your 4 pillars are. As you build your action plan worksheets on the pillars, if you're being coached by a Workman coach, we're going to help you develop and work through each of those pillars so each one hits 100% of your goal. Now, I just want you to think about this concept for a minute. What do you think your likelihood of success is if you go after your goal 4 times what the goal is? If you go after 400% of what the goal is, what do you think? I call it failing up. What if only 2 of the pillars work? You double your goal. If 3 of them hit, you triple your goal. If 1.5 works, you go 1.5 times. The chance of failing and not hitting your goal is almost 0 if you do the work in each of the 4 pillars and you work each one of them as if it's the only thing you're going to do. You block time every day. You work every one of those 4 pillars. Now, those 4 pillars lead into what we call the goal achievement system. Inside the goal achievement system in your business plan, there are 4 categories. First is, what is the goal? What is this goal? Is it a family, faith, friends, fun, or fitness goal? Is it a financial goal? Whatever the goal is. Why is this goal important to you? What is the real why? Not the why that you write down, I want to make more money. I want to know really what you're going to do with the money and how it's going to impact somebody else's life. What's the real core motivating value? And then I want to know in advance, what are your excuses for failure? What are the reasons or the excuses that you're going to give me in advance of why you didn't hit that goal? Let's go ahead and list them. Oh, I didn't get up every day. I didn't do my daily success habits. I didn't follow my action plan. The dog ate my homework. I got lazy. It's my wife's fault. Whatever you're going to give me as excuses are a bunch of bull crap, and I want you to eliminate or create a resolve for every one of those excuses on the next line so you can't use it. And so create a resolve for every single excuse for failure so you can't use it. And then last but not least, I want you to create an action plan for each of those goals. In your business plan, besides the 4 pillars of income and having a sprint for each one of how you're going to accomplish it, I want you to write 5 personal goals, personal development goals, and 5 business goals. Each one of those goals with a why, a real why, excuses for failure, a resolve, and an action plan. And when you go through that business plan and you look at that, just because you took the time to write it down, you are so much more likely to achieve those goals than if you never wrote it down at all, even if you never look at your plan again. I'm going to encourage you to not only do a business plan, but it's time to really think about who it is you're listening to. Who is your coach? Who is sitting on the sideline saying you can do this? Who's giving you the roadmap roadmap and the success plan that you need to be able to build that 7-figure successful team that you want. If you don't have it, reach out to Workman Success Systems for a free coaching consultation. We want to help you. We want to serve. When you do a consultation, I promise you, whether you come into coaching or not, you'll leave that consultation with new ideas, new concepts, and even oftentimes new tools and resources that help you achieve for success. At the end of this video, right now, I want you to download 30-day action plan or a 30-day access to our program called RAMP, which includes the first week, which gives you the full business plan, all of the business plan outline, the business plan download, and how to do each portion that we talked about on this video today. You're on your way to success. All you have to do is hit the download below and let's go for it. And then come back in the comments and let me know how you do with your 4 pillars of income on your road to success with your successful real estate team.